Chapter 27. A Funeral and a Reunion. Freeman, the school's groundskeeper, watched quizzically from a distance. I could tell he was trying to make sense of what compelled me to request digging tools from the landscaping shed. What in the world was I shoveling behind the old hockey arena? I could see him casually leaning against the rusted building, spitting absent-mindedly, watching with mixed amusement. I swung the pickaxe with force. The unyielding dry clay was hard as rock. My wife Jeanne stood by looking aggrieved as I laboriously dug a shallow grave for our recently deceased black and white cat. It was the early 1990s while I was employed as a teacher at Pickering College. The two of us lived in a faculty apartment on the school's sprawling campus. A morning spare period availed itself for pet grave digging and to bid farewell to the fur unit, our cat of 6 years. A couple hours earlier, a ringing phone abruptly roused us from bed. The school's math teacher, Don, arrived early from his commute to deliver the bad news. He said our cat was laying lifeless along the side of busy Bayview Avenue. I put down the phone and ran barefooted down the stairs and onto the street. Easily locating the cat, I could clearly see that it was our beloved cat, the fur unit. I gathered up the lifeless body and solemnly made my way back to the apartment. The loss of our pet was difficult for us both. Jeanne was particularly devastated. Lovingly, she prepared a fruit quart basket coffin and completed it with a few of Fur Unit's more favored toys. The grief proved too overwhelming, and Jeanne decided to call in absent from her teaching job that day. Don had obviously already spread the news, and calls of condolences began ringing in. Solemnly, standing over the grave, hand in hand, we said our departing words and began making our way back to the apartment in somber silence. During the climb up the last flight, we noticed a large bundle of sympathy flowers placed against our apartment door. It was exactly then that the apparition appeared. Something dark and dusty scampered across our feet. Could it possibly be? Had it clawed its way out of a grave? Stuck with profound disbelief, Jeanne clung to the hand railing, muttering, "I can't take it. I can't take it." In the seconds that followed, while we both stared at each other in a daze, the truth materialized. We had, in fact, buried the wrong cat. Or, more precisely, we must have buried another cat that was not ours, but looked like our cat. The fur unit was dusty from her daily mousing adventures, but looked otherwise no worse for wear. Jeanne gave the cat a tearful embrace. We sheepishly opened the apartment door, grabbed the flowers, and relished in the company of our perfectly healthy and alive cat. Perhaps we should have examined the buried cat a little more thoroughly. It was a dead ringer. What were we to tell our friends? My mind immediately shifted from grieving a loss to hatching excuses for explaining stupidity. What possible rationalization could explain this lapse of normal human reasoning? Of course, a pet owner should know what their cat looked like. Oh, what fools we must be. The next day, I again came across Freeman. He was now casually leaning against the main building doorway, with some teachers and students meandering in for the morning assembly. Habitually, he turned to spit in the rose bushes, then caught a glimpse of me walking past. A wry grin stretched across his weathered face as he commented, "Heard you buried the wrong cat." Living on campus does have a fishbowl effect. Privacy is an illusion. Our cat misadventure spread throughout the campus like the Norwalk virus. The original story morphed into bizarre interpretations. The one remaining consistency was that we buried the wrong cat. Later, when explaining ourselves, I rationalized that we were distraught. Examining a dead cat was just plain morbid. I recall that it took several years before the snide remarks dissipated. Comments such as, "Bury any dead cats today?" or "Dead cat walking," or "I'd invite you over, but I don't want my cat buried." Having retired from teaching, I reflect back with nostalgia and humor. We later discovered that the buried cat was a stray and had frequented various ground floor residents' windows. The boarding students always assumed it was my cat, so their cat discerning abilities were no better than mine. As it was, the stray received a first-class funeral. Fur Unit went on to live 18 long years, and we now have some great school lore.